Hey everybody, Greg Pruitt here with Idaho Dispatch, and we are live here at the Capitol. It is March 13th, 2021, and Black Lives Matter Boise is holding a, I'm going to turn it around here, a protest. It's been 1 year since Brianna Taylor was shot, and so they are out getting ready to have a rally and remembering Brianna Taylor. So we'll be here kind of covering. There are law enforcement here, as well as some counter protesters over there, and then a few of them over here as well. So we'll just be here covering and listening to whatever they have to say. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please be sure to share the video, and then also we'd love to have you guys as supporters, monthly supporters. IdahoDispatch.com/subscribe. You can also do a one-time donation if you support our work and the effort that we do to bring you guys news here in the state of Idaho. 2024, baby! So I do have a windbreaker on my audio, so if you guys can let me know in the comments real quick if you can hear what I am saying, and making sure that you can hear it okay. The wind is kind of picking up on and off, and so I want to be able to make sure that you guys can hear me. So anyway, for those that are just tuning in, again, Greg Pruitt here. I'm down at the Capitol, where there is a Black Lives Matter protest happening here on the Capitol steps, and so we're just going to come down, kind of cover whatever they're going to say. I believe there's going to be a few speakers, and then we will possibly try and do some interviews if we can. Sounds good? Okay. Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, you like this.
Appreciate it. Okay, so again, there are some counter protesters over here, and then I haven't done really a count here yet, but somewhere in the range of maybe 30 to 40. And it's supposed to kick off at 5. We're not sure. They got about another minute until it starts. So this is the first rally, I believe, that has happened since, how are you guys? That has happened since the fall, when they had the last one over at the Boise City Hall. And it's been a while since they've had another one. So figured we would come down. There's some that say we can't breathe. Another sign up there that says Brianna was innocent. Another one that says, why are you here? I thought you liked liberty. Enough is enough. Over 20,000 no-knock something warrants. Black Lives Matter. Boise. Sorry, I can't read that other sign. They walked away. So they all are wearing, asked people to wear masks and social distance. So we're just going to keep our distance from those individuals, and then possibly try to interview some of them later on if we can.
Because we have got 12 people in the team, and it's good to have some.
So, and then I don't know how many counter protesters over there. Maybe. Hey, what would you say on counter protesters over there? 20 or so? 20 or 30 maybe? Yeah. Do a count of the BLM folks for me real quick. So, and again, some law enforcement kind of spread out throughout the area, but they said for the most part they were going to stay out of the way. And a few more counter protesters right here. I'm just going to kind of wait until it starts. 60? Okay. So, yeah, somewhere between 60 and 70 BLM supporters. And some more coming in here. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah, could be it. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, for those of you tuning in, let me know. Trying to just see if there's any questions you guys had. So somebody said need to be notified. So we just heard about this a couple hours ago. And so we tried to let everybody know we'd be coming down and covering the events. We're going to be trying to cover as many, big political events taking place at the Capitol as we can in the coming years. So we appreciate you guys sharing the footage and tagging as many people as you can. Okay, so for those that don't know, today is the 1-year anniversary of Brianna Taylor's death, and there's been a lot of discussion about no-knock warrants and her background and everything, and so they are here to protest. So you probably can't see the sign that's up there, but it says over 20,000 no-knock warrants yearly, and so that's what they're here today to do, is to protest the death of Brianna Taylor. So we do have more law enforcement over there. This is the Boise liaisons here, and then I got an artist over here. It looks like. How's it going? So it says "Justice for Brianna, rest in power." Those that can't see. Protesters here. So I believe somebody might be getting ready to speak, so I'm going to go stand like right here, I think. Yeah, good.
Hello, everybody. Let's get this audio figured out real quick. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing your support for black women, for Brianna Taylor. As we notice, there are some distractions here, but we need to stay focused. Let's stay on message. We know what happened when we went to City Hall. Right? We had fascists, neo-Confederates harassing us while we tried to convey a message of peace and hope. And when people show up armed, prepared to harm, there's a real issue, right? And when folks think that it's okay to intimidate and harass civil rights activists, it's not okay. And that's why we're here. That's why we've decided that we are not going to be intimidated. We are not afraid because we live every day afraid. I am less afraid of the chuds than I am of the officers every day. The goal and the point of this gathering is to stand in community with a refusal to allow those members in our community and outside to intimidate and harass. And what we've done is decided with a number of organizations to stay committed this spring and summer. We are going to be out here with regularity, without pause, without reluctance, without hesitation.
Right! Yeah, go back to Emmett, you motherfuckers.
As you can see, there's hate in the crowd. There's bigotry, misogyny, white supremacy in the crowd. You saw moments ago Boise police officers who continue to harass Black Lives Matter supporters and chapter members with messages and threats.
Yeah, I thought you liked liberty.
And what the Boise police have decided to do is to intimidate us in this process and not acknowledge the hate that exists here. Because they co-opt the hate, that which they claim to abhor. There are no good cops in a racist system.
Bullshit!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace! Look at his speech!
How do you say terrorist?
BPD!
How do you say terrorist?
BPD!
How do you spell Nazi?
BPD!
How do you spell rapist?
BPD!
How do you spell criminal?
BPD!
How do you spell terrorist?
BPD!
The co-opting of white supremacy amongst police officers is well documented, and the Boise police have refused to address the officers that were involved in the Capitol insurgency themselves. There are officers on the force walking these streets between ISP, Ada County Sheriff's Office, and the Boise Police Department that were involved in the insurgency and that encourage and recruit, along with lawmakers, GOP, KKK members. The GOP is the party of the Ku Klux Klan. They are the covert, mechanized arm that legitimizes hate through policy. And it is on these very steps which that policy is developed and enforced. And it's the Boise Police, Ada County Sheriffs, and the Idaho State Police who are complicit in the deaths of Americans.
When was the last black person shot in Idaho? That's right.
The percentage of people that are here in Boise that have been killed by police, that are from every point in the criminal justice system, from pre-arrest to post-conviction, we see discrimination. And so to make the argument that black bodies need to show up all over the city for there to be a disparity, that is misinformed, uneducated, and just plain ignorant. And anyone that would wear a Confederate flag or any insignia that is a replication of white supremacist ideology is themselves a fucking Nazi. How do you spell terrorist?
BLM!
How do you spell Nazi?
BLM!
How do you spell criminal?
BLM!
How do you spell terrorist?
BLM!
Black Lives Matter! 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 Blue lives do not exist. I have never met a Smurf. Where are the Smurf people? There are no Smurf people. Blue lives don't exist. So every argument that the chuds have is debunked, right? And can be shown as counterproductive, counterintuitive. And everywhere we go, we have armed racists showing up and harassing us, but we will not be intimidated. This is going to be a long spring and a long summer because we aren't going anywhere. So please do your best to donate to our bail fund for our activists to stand up against this system. And this system will require structural developments. We are working with worker parties, with other organizations within the community to develop a plan of socio-political power, and working with community power brokerage whether it's city officials to lawmakers, but we will not compromise. There is no halfway, there is no one toe, it's 10 toes. If you aren't 10 toes in as a legislator, lawmaker, or city official, then we are not going to entertain your empty efforts. And we see that here in City Council. We only had 2 members vote against the budget, Jimmy Halliburton and Lisa Sanchez. But we have to remember, yes, we had 2 votes. So we need to continue this education and continue to express exactly what is on our minds, but also the story across the nation, whether it's qualitatively or quantitatively. Over 20,000 people have been killed by police in the last 2 decades. That's unacceptable. Disproportionately black. And a study that was done over 5 years, now there's 20 years that can be examined, but a 5-year examination of those who were armed when they were killed. And by the way, most people, when they're killed by police, are unarmed. Okay? But after a thorough review, critical criminologists found that a black unarmed woman is more likely to be killed than a white armed man. Similarly, a white felon is more likely to get a job than a black person without a criminal record. And so there are a number of social, political, economic factors that we can point out. But we know that chuds don't understand data. We know that chuds do not, they're not able to interpret what is data to be transferred to policy. And so we ask that if there are comments or if there's dialogue that some of these chuds hope to engage in, the effort and the goal is to ignore, right? To stay on message. Because we are here for Brianna Taylor. Brianna! 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 Say her name! 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 All right, I wanted to open it up that way because of the energy and dynamics that are here. We had an agenda, we had a schedule, and we want to stick to that as best possible. There were some members who couldn't come due to illness and family emergencies, and so we are doing our best to adjust. We had an individual from Louisville, a black man from Louisville who moved here, who is now a felon. We wanted you to hear his story. We're not sure if he'll be able to make it because of circumstances and their reluctance with the amount of law enforcement and the way Boise police approached us moments ago. And so over time, we hope to be able to continue to carve out space so that way in the future we're better able to present to you perspective from various community members. So right now it's really about just holding space, right? It's about getting here and providing resistance to the system of white supremacy. And so that's what we're here for, is to resist white supremacy and to stand up for black women. And as you can see, the intimidation continues and the police watch on. A man is in the crowd walking with armed, a member of the Idaho Liberty Dogs, and Boise police do nothing. But we keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? 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 We keep us safe. All right, now we're going to hear from various community members, and we will end at sunset for folks' safety. If you have to leave early, we understand. We are so grateful.
Some people were asking.
Here.
I counted about 80 people or so.
A well-known activist in the community. Give it up for Sammy.
All right. Before I begin, I I just want to say one thing. You know, I have a 10-year-old son at home, and you know, sometimes he gets kind of fussy. Sometimes he'll kind of like throw little fits, and so I was told by somebody that works with kids that I'm friends with, you know, when they throw these fits, you got to just ignore them, and they'll scream and they'll kick and they'll cry and they'll say little mean things, and they might even try to destroy stuff. But it's a kid and they're being childish. So before I begin, why don't we treat these guys the same way, because that's all they are, as children. Okay. We're here today for Brianna Taylor, but I wish I could say their story is the exception and not the rule. However, it's not. According to Vox, cops do over 20,000 no-knock warrants a year, and more than half of the wrongful convictions in America are caused by government misconduct. The case of Brianna Taylor was formulated on false ties between packages received at her home and another individual already in police custody. They forged documents after the fact to make it look like both raids occurred at the same time, but this simply isn't true. A copy of the seized property log turned into the circuit court clerk's office after the March 13th search shows the original time of search scratched out on both pages of the document. The false narrative pushed by the police and other morons on social media was that Brianna was affiliated with a drug dealer and had it coming. Well, let me just make something very clear. Brianna Taylor and her sister had no drug offenses on their record. But even if she had, when did we as a nation decide that murder is an acceptable punishment for drug dealing affiliation? And more so, when did we accept as a nation that the police are judge, jury, and executioner? Last I checked, innocent until proven guilty is the way our court system works, and for good reason. So what that means is this beautiful woman was murdered in her home and died despite being entirely innocent and drug-free. Even the response by her boyfriend to grab his weapon in self-defense is the product of masculine constructs in our society. He had no idea who was in his home, and the police were plainclothed. This means a young man protecting his home is quite literally the only crime he was ever convicted of, and yet his entirely innocent girlfriend died. You see, we've gotten slowly but surely manipulated into thinking that cops have more power than they actually do. And for years, activists have said to protect and serve in response to police officers that are not protecting or serving their local jurisdictions. But the truth is that that motto was only coined by the Los Angeles Police Department. And other departments actually disagree with this motto entirely. But why? All in all, this term, protect and serve, should absolutely be what the police is there to do. And yet they only respond to crimes after they've been committed, entrap civilians regularly, and they actually will kill people cold-blooded in their homes without them being convicted of anything. Even the original term was coined by LAPD to polish their image after decades of police misconduct and abuse. Let me ask you this. When was the last time a cop has served or effectively protected you? I can tell you beyond a shadow of doubt that women, BIPOC individuals, and LGBTQ plus individuals across the nation will gladly agree that the cops have not served to protect them in their times of need. In fact, according to findings, physical assault is widespread among adults in the United States. An estimated 1.9 million women and 3.2 million men are physically assaulted annually in the United States. And yet those who report these rapes and death threats are very often told that they have no proof and therefore cannot push forward with an assault case in the court of law. What this means is that the police take no-knock warrants and supposed counterfeit bills more seriously than the countless real crimes in America each and every day. So now let's break down these no-knock warrants and why the new laws to abolish them are not just wanted, but needed in our society. And yes, I said abolish no-knock warrants because I don't care what excuse cops give for them. They're never freaking acceptable. What I think our government fails to realize is that Brianna's law doesn't bring her back. Brianna's law also isn't some way for them to continue to pacify the masses. Our generation is awake, and we recognize that this law isn't enough. In fact, it's just the beginning. I'm not going to pat politicians on the back for doing what should have been done before Brianna's death. When a person kills an intruder who breaks into their home dressed in all black and screaming, they're typically referred to as heroes, and their story is shared as some kind of American stand your ground celebration, even by the far right and the press. But when the intruder is a police officer and the homeowner has a past record or is suspected of some nonsensical drug crime, we suddenly feel they are no longer justified to stand their ground. This abuse of power isn't just reflected in these home raids, but in every aspect of our society. Cops demanding our names and where we live as we walk down the street. Cops planting evidence. Cops assaulting civilians in broad daylight. Cops speeding through traffic and violating laws for nothing. Cops being passed around from one district to the next with mile-long misconduct sheets. Cops discriminating against certain racist statuses and gender orientations. Cops stopping and frisking youth against their will. Cops beating individuals to death during traffic stops. When is enough enough? Even now, we have cops that are sitting across the street while dumbasses with guns walk through our crowd. I just don't get it. So yeah, I'm not asking our local politicians to put in place a law like Brianna's law in Idaho. I'm demanding it. They aren't our oligarchs. They are appointed by us, and so help me God, if they don't have plans to protect their constituents from breaches of our Constitution, I will actively fight to remove them from their wrongful positions of power. We need to stop acting like we the people aren't the majority and start demanding they do their jobs. Brianna is just one of many, and even in Idaho, over 140 people have been killed by our police force. If this doesn't bother you, congratulations on your privilege, but it's time you look to your discriminated friends and family to see the truth. Each and every year, Boise only continues to grow larger. There's a reason why my privileged friends and family know George Floyd and Brianna Taylor, but not a Tatiana Jefferson and Andrew Kearse. These names are highlighted, but they are far from the only individuals murdered by a police force that is more focused on quotas and power trips than human lives and safety. As our city grows and our police funding expands, if we don't demand laws like Brianna's law get put in place now, we'll only end up being the next city in the news with another wrongfully lost life on our hands. But we can't just stop there. The overall goal will forever be to abolish the corrupt policing and law system entirely, because the truth is, it has led to modern slavery, wrongful convictions, discrimination, abuse of our Constitution, illegal search and seizure, the Chicago 7, the West Memphis 3, George Floyd, the death of countless innocent individuals across the nation, and a false sense of security in a force that is clearly not there for us, but to keep us in line for the elite and rich that run our government and brainwash our society. In the end, we need to keep ourselves awake so we don't have to experience any more wakes. We have to keep ourselves awake so BIPOC in our communities can sleep in peace in their own damn homes. This isn't the end, this is just the beginning. Our power is finally being recognized, and it's time we stand up and speak out. Not just when it's a fad to do so, but when it's quite literally the hardest thing on the planet. Revolution is built on radical values and humanity. And as long as we keep fighting for a better future, Brianna Taylor and all those unfortunately like her will not have died in vain. Thank you.
Some people asking about crowd size. Again, I'd say for the BLM folks, somewhere between 80 and 100, and then about
Thank you, Sammy.
30 or 40 possibly counter protesters.
Now, one thing that we hope to do is to show you that we are not afraid. To show you that we are here, that we will continue to be here. Regardless of what happens, we've put some infrastructure in place so that way if, God forbid, someone's arrested or assaulted, that we have things in place to help with the damages that come with this. But one thing that we know that is a dark figure of all of this is the daily grind. Every day, waking up black.
That's right.
Every day, waking up black and proud. Black and proud. In Idaho. I was born in Pocatello. So I'm not
It's scary there.
not from here. I'm from here. And so the commitment that I have to this state remains, and it just won't go. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved from the very beginning. From when legislators that's supposed to be our representation saying we're not a real chapter and to not show up. We are a real chapter. And over time, the people that made these claims were trying to undermine our efforts purposefully. Because for them, it's okay where they're at. If you're in charge of the Idaho Black History Museum, you're all right. But the rest of us are out here suffering. And so for Cherie Buckner Webb to tell us to just Sometimes you got to do some hoeing. I wanted to express that a normal was the expectation for black people to assimilate, to yes sir, okay man.
Model minority.
The model minority, right? And in order to survive, this was done.
For those who might be wondering,
folks,
and sorry to cut him off here, but Sherry
it
Buckner
wasn't
Webb was a
possible.
former state
And
senator.
so for some folks, it just wasn't happening. Well, there's a new normal now. And that new normal is resistance. We will resist, we will resist, we will resist. And like the words of Marshawn McCarroll, his last words on the steps of the Ohio State Courthouse were, "Let the record reflect that I pissed on the State House steps before I left." But the media twisted it and said another saying, that his demons had won. I want everyone, your individual action for today is to not only become more familiar with the Brianna Taylor case and her life and her family, and we are here in solidarity because her mother called for a nationwide action of planning, but the resistance is something that needs to be the new norm. The new norm needs to be the resistance. And a name that I want you to become familiar with is Marshawn McCarroll, a Black Lives Matter activist from 2016 in Ohio. And the reason why I bring this up is because black women and suicide is prevalent. And black women face the most scrutiny when alive and dead. And in death, we see the shaming of individuals like Marshawn McCarroll and inaccuracies in his last word. But I bring this up because my sister was my Irish twin. And the daily grind. She was Miss Caldwell Night Rodeo, Idaho. She was a black woman that rode horses. She ran for Miss Rodeo, Idaho, and apart from her color, they say she should have won. Her aunt won in 1982, my aunt Mila. So they coached her along in this process. But what they couldn't prepare her for was to never be good enough because she was black. In nursing school, challenges, purposeful impediments, experiences that I myself have experienced in the criminal justice program here at Boise State, where they teach eugenics. Not anymore. Sherry Buckner Webb told me, just graduate, Terry. Stop raising fuss. I said, I can't. Because if I do, then the people behind me will go through what I'm going through. And so what we're going to do is stand in the gap. For those who aren't ready for high-risk action, we'll stand in the gap. We got you. But it's not going to stop. This spring and summer is going to be hot. I promise. And we stand with our siblings in Portland over, some reports say 100 arrests. But 65 is the count that I'd heard, but new techniques are being used and the feds are still in Portland. And the fuckers with the guns, why aren't they standing up against the state when protesters are being bashed? But instead they're out here for the vigil of a black woman. They should be out there protecting protesters when they're being beaten by cops. They're fake. Any of these chuds out here are fake. We're not afraid of them. We aren't spreading no Nazi scum. All spring, all summer, we're going to be out here. Yep. And I want everyone to know that the criticisms will arise, that our approach is controversial. Black Lives Matter Global Network in LA had the same criticisms from fellow organizers. Because when you disrupt the current system, when you disrupt this model that people benefit from, and there are people who are black that benefit from the current system that's here more so than others. A very few. Similarly, on the other side, on the right. So just like on the right, a very few are eating. But what we all need to do is wake up to this oppressive system known as contemporary policing, which is the mechanization of white supremacy. Evictions are police violence.
Yep.
And so we're not a single issue organization. We're not here for just on the behalf of black women or black men or black trans, who, by the way, black trans and mentally challenged are disproportionately killed, even more so than black men and women. And so the most marginalized is who we're here to lift up. Because if the most marginalized made our streets and our cities and our transportation systems, then no one would have been left out. Imagine if the challenged, the alternatively able, I prefer than disabled. Disabled lends some inferiority and some negative, discriminatory, inherently discriminatory context to that word. So the alternatively abled, if they were the ones designing our roadways and systems, they would have never been left out. And that's what we're asking for. That's all we're asking for. We tried all summer and all spring to meet with the mayor, who refused to meet with us. She had no problem meeting with us when she wanted to get elected and get those votes needed to pass Dave Feeder, though. Those hundreds of doors that we knocked on for her because she said she was going to back the black. Yep. Which means be anti-racist. Yeah. Backing the black is anti-racism. It's anti-white supremacy.
There is no white supremacy here. Thank you, brother. You got it.
Wow.
You got it.
Someone said there is no white supremacy in the crowd. Like, this is what we're dealing with, right? But the good news is that there's more of us than them. And when you got the spirit of the people, can't nobody stop you. When the spirit of the people are with you, you are unstoppable, because the people are the power. The people are the what? The people are the people are the what? 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 Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! The people are the people are the people are the people are the. I want everybody to recognize that there are people in red outfits. These are rally medics. These are people that have chosen to help in the event that white violence would occur. White male violence. Maybe we should specify that, because I don't see a bunch of white ladies out here with guns. The problem is a patriarchal problem. The problem is a a problem of white, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism. We read over here, we read. We read, baby. Because we can. Because we can. Now, there was an individual from Louisville who was supposed to speak today and sing, but it doesn't appear that he will be present today. But just know that the individuals who helped to make this possible, the ones that are here in the crowd, along with the individuals who couldn't make it, you will be able to have contact and perspective from them in the future, because the goal is to be consistent and to be relentless in this resistance. And we even hope in the future to have guests like Dr. Melina Abdullah from the Black Lives Matter LA chapter. Yeah, so the coordination between this chapter and the global network is real, it is compatible, and it is flourishing. And what is important about that is that when folks make comments that we're not a real chapter, or that we have like no authority, and why should we be listened to? Well, over time, those who made these criticisms will have to answer for why they said that, right? And we won't hold it against them, because what we do in our system, not the criminal punishment system, not the criminal justice system, the criminal punishment system, we believe in accountability that's transformative, not punitive. So when we call on our community members, when we talk about those who have harmed us in some way, our goal is transformation, not punitivity. Our goal is to not punish, it's to transform. And so our whole mission as an egalitarian organization is to uplift marginalized voices, but also be accountable to ourselves and to the global network and to our own communities. And what does that look like? That looks like perspective and feedback from you and the community. Being honest and transparent on our end. And early on, there were so many rumors, right? George Soros funding, just crazy, like lizard people eating people, just banana stuff, right?
Here's my check.
These rumors made it difficult for the chapter to form. However, the most difficult stages have already been surpassed, right? The recognition of our own community, number one, right? Number two, the global network. These are living leadership who we need to acknowledge. Senator John Lewis, we didn't, I would say, I personally as a young boy didn't have the knowledge to appreciate him, right? MLK was this token, this whitewashed, pacified civil rights leader. When Senator John Lewis was a living human who spoke at the march, the Million Man March, this was someone who was alive, who recently passed. So there are black leadership here, now, that we need to be listening to. And the local chapter, Black Lives Matter Boise, has made a decision, a commitment, to follow the global network and its manifesto, which is a critical criminological perspective that argues that race, along with gender, is the nexus of societal development. And I want to thank everybody for their ability to look past the rumors and the talk about what it is to stand up for Black lives. Under no conditions should a white person or any person not prioritize their community, and especially the disproportionately affected. And so what this means is that we had organizers and activists suggesting not to protest for Black Lives Matter on behalf of Black lives. This is inaccurate and counterproductive because Black people have been fighting and fighting and fighting, and what we need is the white majority to have a role and take part in this process as well. And if that process doesn't happen, if white participation doesn't occur as the majority, Black people only make up 13% of the census population in the United States. So it's statistically impossible without the support of our siblings, our white siblings. So if you ever hear, do not go out on the behalf of Black lives, that is not true. And someone said, where are all the Black bodies? Where are all the Black people? Here. Well, Portland is less than 3% Black. So is King County. So the revolution includes white people as much as it does Black people. In fact, we would hope that you would use what's known as white privilege to exercise your ability to be in a capacity that makes it safer for us. And so the argument, yeah, there is some substance there for Black folks to be here, yes. But the goal is to be active and out of your house and into the streets, because if we hadn't protested and we hadn't got busy, that budget for BPD would have been much, much, much higher. And it was only $1 million raise, which is still too much. We want they said, what's an adequate raise? None. It's defund to abolish. They think we're mincing words. No, defund to abolition. Abolition is the goal. Abolition is the mission. Abolition is the goal. Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Abolition is the goal.
Black lives
Matter.
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 Let's address the retort. The Blue Lives Matter retort. The other report, the retort, All Lives Matter retort, sorry. That retort is simply to explicate that, right? It's Black lives don't matter, right? When people say that, if they can't say it back, if they can't say Black Lives Matter back, then we know Black Lives Matter don't matter to them. It doesn't matter. And the reason why we say Black Lives Matter, to revisit this, which seems almost, we should be past that point, but guess what? We'll be patient with our community. We'll be patient in educating our community on the historical and traditional operations of policing, which is a quasi-military organization designed to target the poor and BIPOC. And so when we consider how we respond to hate, to white supremacy, it's with love. We aren't out here armed. We didn't come out here with guns. We didn't, not to say that one shouldn't, we're not the protest police, right? We're not going to tell people how to protest. But what we are going to do is show up. And so to notice that the police engaged as soon as they got here, they came and harassed us without talking to or approaching armed individuals.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care.
They don't care.
So, and we don't expect them to care. We're not asking them to care. We don't communicate with them before our events. And that's one thing other organizers had done in the past, right? There is no communication
We've
with
seen
the
a few
base.
people come from the
Because
steps,
they
and they are
co-opt
heading
with white supremacists to attack
down over here
and
to a
threaten us.
kind of a crowd.
And Chief
over
Lee
there.
has a history in Portland of doing so. Police Commissioner Joanne Hardesty can confirm this. That Chief Lee co-opted in communications with white supremacists, Patriot Prayer members, against anti-fascists in Portland. And there may have been a famous video you saw of someone being assaulted. And, that's right. That's right. There is a huge problem. And that problem is that contemporary policing protect white supremacists. And if anything, work together to intimidate, harass, and try to prevent BIPOC and or white folks from standing up for Black lives. And this is the response you get when you stand up for Black lives, is armed white supremacists showing up, trying to argue that we're here, causing problems, when they're the fucking problem.
Okay, so there is something going on over here.
We need the
Not sure
escalators
what's
down here. Can we get some folks to come help de-escalate? We're not talking
Looks like
about
the Idaho
kids.
Liberty Dogs
You guys make it worse.
and a gal in a blue shirt. It's hard to tell.
In de-escalation, we will hold trainings in the future. We had some over the summer. What de-escalation training and techniques will look like. And the goal of de-escalation is to hold people accountable for their actions and their words. And what we know about what people argue is that police are trained in these techniques. But what we notice is when police are wrong, it seems desperate.
Got that?
And so really the request is for us to do Brianna Taylor's dead!
This is the lady who was
White supremacists show
kind of having
to intimidate
a discussion with
what is
somebody
to
over
be a
here.
vigil for a beautiful black woman who was an EMT in Louisville, Kentucky, who was taken while sleeping on her own couch. Idaho recognizes no warrants. That's why we're here. Because Idaho courts recognize the same oppressive, racially motivated techniques to attack homes of people. It is extrajudicial killings of Americans in their homes. And this is allowed, not allowed, but conducted by law enforcement. So, who is going to keep us safe? We keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? 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 Brianna!
Taylor!
Say her name! 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 Black Lives Matter Boise is committed. Committed. We are the resistance, and we will continue to be the resistance. We believe in egalitarianism, and we will not relent. And we look forward And for those interested in de-escalation trainings and techniques, it's been very difficult with COVID, making the transition to the most proper ways to conduct activities. So pay attention to our newsletter, our Instagram, our Twitter, and what we hope to provide is opportunities for you, the public, to join us in the resistance. And so over the course of this spring and summer, we look forward to sharing what is the resistance, why is the resistance, who is the resistance, where is the resistance. And the resistance is about courage, right? The resistance is about the ability to be selfless in pursuit of equality. No lives matter until Black Lives Matter. 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 No lives matter until Black Lives Matter.
Somebody was asking about the crowd. I think we had counted about 100, somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit more now, BLM supporters, then somewhere in the range of
Black people,
30 to 40
BIPOC,
counter-protesters.
Black, indigenous, and persons of color are disproportionately targeted by police. That's why we're here. And we say Black Lives Matter because if Black Lives mattered, then all lives would matter. Because white people are killed by police too. In fact, because there's more white people, there are more white people killed by police. So it's a white people problem too. And so we're here for y'all. And I'm talking to the Chuds. We're here for y'all. And you got guns on them. It's crazy. It's like,
Listen, Chud.
it's not crazy when you think about how many fucking people voted for the Orange Man. It's not crazy, right? It's not crazy. Right? So these next couple years are crucial, are vital to civil rights, because we have reached a moment where liberals now have control of Congress and hold the executive power. And I'm going to tell you, I personally feel that neoliberalism can be just as much of an issue in the near future as conservatism, right? And so we are not a political party. We are not the Democratic Party. I personally, if you want to know who I voted for, you can look it up. But I voted for a libertarian. I voted for Jo Jorgensen because she was explicit, about defunding the police. And not just a single issue individual, because Black Lives Matter is really intersectional, interconnected. We are also observing cancer clustering, right? Water contamination by Idaho Department of Water Quality. So what we need is to take IDEQ data and merge those data sets with cancer registry data, and we can look for correlations across cancer types, and we can see that there is a correlation with race. And what we know is that our legislative body, our state regulators and corporations have not prioritized our lives in any way. A new heartbeat bill has been introduced, right? So from radical abortion, anti-abortion policy, to anti-trans policy, to environmental degradation and pollution, we are focused on transformative processes, not just within accountability amongst each other, but within transformative justice with criminal punishment system and the way that our environment is regulated, with state regulators and corporations poisoning our land, air, and waterways. We want to hold them accountable as well. So we're not limited to just contemporary policing, but the intersectionalities of even the indigenous experience.
And our children.
And Paula,
loving our children.
that's right. And loving our children, prioritizing our children, educating our children. And someone who couldn't be here today, who was to do the land dedication because they weren't in the area, Paulette Jordan, who is a good friend, who is indigenous, who wanted us to know that this is Shoshone, Bannock, Paiute land.
Bring it back.
Shoshone, Bannock, Paiute land. Stolen land. Stolen people. 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 Thank you, everybody, for your participation, your action, and what we know in this near future is that the community that's upset about the dynamic shift, right? We're not going back in the house. The norm of the resistance is out of the house. We're out of our house. The new norm is this. This is the new normal. This is the new norm, and we won't stop, we won't quit, because lives depend on it. Not just black women, indigenous women, trans, mentally challenged. But you all got to remember that contemporary policing is not just a BIPOC issue, right? And so our focus, our goal, is to transform this community, because there are working models like Cahoots in Eugene, where they dispatch nurses instead of armed individuals, right? Escalation is when armed people show up. De-escalation is when someone shows up with a medic bag and an IV, right? And like Patrick Warren Sr. and his mental health crisis, and we'll become more familiar as the videos release. The murder and the lynching of George Floyd is continuing and will not stop until structural change occurs. And that structural change is in the form of defunding the police. ACAB!
ACAB! All cops are bastards! All cops are bastards!
ACAB!
ACAB!
All cops are bastards!
I say ACB, you say all cops are bastards, right? ACAB!
All cops are bastards!
ACAB!
All cops are bastards!
ACAB!
All cops are bastards!
What does this mean? A bastard is a fatherless son. A misguided son. And that's exactly what a police officer represents. A misguided approach to mental health. A misguided approach to houselessness. A misguided approach to even healthcare. And I wanted to share a little bit more about why Brianna Taylor is special to me. Because my sister was a black woman. And she's not here today. She was my Irish twin. And the daily grind. The daily grind. I remember going to Kelch Elementary. Her looking in the mirror at her hair. Wanting to either cut it off or for it to be straight. because she was made fun of. And I would have done anything to trade places with her, even up until the moment she died. My sister would still be here if contemporary policing was different. When they come, they escalate.
Yes, they do.
We need people like Cahoots who show up, who take a fifth of the budget,
Yeah.
but make up a fourth, or make up a fourth of the budget, but make a fifth of the calls. So 1 out of every 5 police calls for service, Cahoots answers. And it's a fraction of the budget.
It works, I know.
And it
My
works.
mother works in Cahoots.
And we have first-hand testimony of someone's mother who works in Cahoots, which is in Eugene, which is a city that is comparable to Boise in many ways. Now, if we can get to a space where nurses and physicians are responding to calls instead of armed individuals, we can reduce the amount of suicides that are in relation to crises, right? Post-police visits. And we can also
There are some people behind us in
change
that
the structure of
same
our
crowd having
communities,
a
because
discussion,
tens of
but
millions, in cases, in some cases,
so
hundreds
far,
of millions and billions
no
of
police have
dollars
come in there.
in money that is given to police departments when it's shown to be ineffective in regard to recidivism.
Appreciate you guys watching. It's Idaho Dispatch. Be
And
sure to
crime
support
rate.
us at idahodispatch.com/subscribe.
As well as crimes like domestic
This is
violence.
supposed to go till 7, but we're not sure if they're going that entire time or
Police
just part
are
of the time.
counterproductive. And you saw it today. You saw it today.
Yes.
White supremacists threatening, harassing, approaching. And these are people who have already assaulted us at City Hall. Already. But we're not fucking scared. Right here. All spring, all summer, right here. All spring, all summer, right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. We were so beaten back.
Just gonna
We had to go to
walk over here real quick.
Anderson to hold events and have fools and hawks and clowns. This is real. But guess what? We are not afraid. If anything, it validates our existence. It validates our cause. And you notice the pigs doing nothing. ACAB! ACAB! We were playing music. We played Fuck Donald Trump. The state troopers didn't approach us until we started playing that song and told us to turn it off. And who knows what will happen if de-escalation, if folks didn't step in front and de-escalate and conduct the arrest strategy. Who knows what would have happened. But Idaho State Police didn't have a problem until we were playing a song saying fuck their daddy.
Fuck the police! Yeah, fuck the police!
Meanwhile, these same chuds were playing discriminatory, explicitly racist, white supremacist music.
That ain't right.
But the pigs harass us. This is living proof, validation that we keep us safe. Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe.
And we know that hate is still here.
Yes, it is. It's right there.
But guess what? So are we.
Yes, we are.
And I want everybody to know that if you're unfamiliar with de-escalation techniques or de-arrest techniques, that's okay. There will be time to learn over time, over the spring and summer. But for tonight, we have rally medics who will be at our events. regularly, but for tonight, your goal is to not engage, Chuds. Right? We're here. That's the goal. The goal is to show up, right? And to keep showing up. There's no talking to these folks. They think someone won when someone didn't, or they're just all backwards, right? So when we are at these functions, when we are at these events, uplifting Brianna Taylor and other folks who have been murdered and lynched by the police, we will ignore. We will ignore, and we will stay on message. Now, some of you, if you're interested, you are familiar with de-escalation techniques, like some of the folks who are there now. But if you're not, then it's safe to just disengage, because it's like talking to a wall, right? They've already made up their mind.
A white supremacist
Right?
wall.
Yeah, they've already made their mind up. So our energy needs to be in uplifting and providing comfort and confidence to our cohort, our peers, instead of unnecessary interactions with chuds.
Amen.
And what we'll do is, because there's a person who is to be here today, two people actually, one from Louisville, we're going to skip that individual because they aren't able to be here today, and we will hear from another community member, a Black Lives Matter member. Her name is Destiny. We think it is more important than ever to hear from black women. Excuse me.
Yes, it is.
And I know that my sister would have spoke today. My sister's here today. She's with me. She's with us. And we wanted to offer a black female perspective early on. However, Destiny is a nurse and was at work. And so now she's here, and we can hear from the powerful, wonderful, and thoughtful, relentless Destiny.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up and showing your support. I know that this is happening nationwide. I don't know if you guys knew that. Brianna Taylor. I keep thinking about what happened to her and how many other ways it could have gone. But being here in the United States, you have to remember that the U.S. is one of the most racist countries against black, indigenous, and people of color. If you're anything other than a white straight man, you're seen as something beneath. See? That's a perfect example. He feels the need to say all that, as if we didn't already know that. You know, I came up here earlier to help set up, and I wasn't going to give a speech. I was going to go straight into the scroll. And the one thing that really caught my eye, because what people that are so ignorant and don't understand the meaning behind all lives matter. But there was one gentleman in the plaid, I think he might still be here, I don't know. I just got here. He said, all lives matter, but black lives don't.
That's the point.
Exactly. All lives matter until when?
Black Lives Matter!
Exactly. We know it. They're here with their toys, because I just could walk by them and they look at me and they fear me. I know they do. My voice is more powerful than their guns. I see you still turning around, talking shit. I see you. Exactly. Look at the other one over there boogieing.
Deadpool's not racist.
Of course not. Of course not. Are you endorsed by Marvel? Are you? Great. I'll make sure to give you your meds later. Don't worry. Anyways.
There's a guy across the street in the red that dresses as Deadpool at a lot of these events.
It could have happened to me. It could have happened to my cousins. It could have happened to my sister. It could have happened to my niece. It could have happened to any one of you guys here in the crowd. And the fact that this is only one life that we know about. So many are withheld by the police. And we're left with just saying, okay, that's fine. Because that's what we're taught. That's what society in the U.S. teaches us. As long as the cops are behind it, everything is okay. They're here to protect us.
Fuck that.
But when have they ever protected me? When have they ever protected anyone in this crowd, really?
No, never.
There have been plenty of times, me growing up, where I needed them. And you know what? They didn't show up till an hour later, so I had to basically defend myself. With cuts and bruises and stabs, I looked at them for help, you know? It's like, I'm taught at school that you're here to protect me, but yet here I am with blood dripping down, and you're just standing there like you should have known better. This is just the start of an uproar, really. We're not going to stop after this. They think with their toys that they can stop us, but hey, those toys only cost so much at the store, and everyone else can get them too. But anyways, I think I let their ego down a little too much for now. It's going to go even lower as time goes on, until we can come to an understanding that I personally could care less if they choose to be fascist, you know? Because the ones here standing and actually listening are the ones that are here that's going to make the difference. And as long as you guys keep coming, that difference will happen.
Yes, it will.
And for those of you at home just listening to me, thank you guys for tuning in as well. And I'm going to go ahead and attempt to read 150 names. This is the Idaho Scroll of Police Murders, just in this state. 150. I don't know how many people are in this crowd, but I'd give roughly 100. Add 50 more, that's how many the Idaho police have killed. Oh, 149. 150 with Brianna. But of course, she was just in another state. And there's many more police officers out there throughout the U.S. that have killed more. And in fact, they get even more badges and stuff, and they get paid leave. Man, if that's what it takes, I would really just stop paying my taxes, because that's what really funds them. But of course, I would just be giving into the system and getting arrested for tax fraud or whatever, you know? but I'm gonna stop now. This is gonna be a while. So if you guys want to take a seat, kneel, whatever, that is great too. Already, so I'll give y'all a minute to. And you guys can come up to the steps.
She's reading names. I'm going to go get a picture of the art so you guys can see the lady that was doing art over here.
If anyone
Did you paint it all today?
wrap
Okay.
themselves in
Since you
a
got here?
Black Lives Matter
Okay.
flag, Black Lives Matter flag, we have one of the goals. We didn't think to bring blankets for you guys.
The sun is going down. It's getting a little chilly out here now.
Alrighty. You know what? I'm just gonna take this seat. It's gonna be a while.
So still a few conversations going on, but the temperature of the individual
Brian
seems to have gone down a little bit.
Alec Frank Hines, George Timothy Williams, Jose A. Galan, Scott Lee Spencer, Michael Penson, T. Glenn, Ray Weaver, Ross Ezra McAble, Milton Sanchez, Melody Sanchez, Luke Pratt, Charles Holoboom. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Robert Kenneth Underwood, Tom Frank Joseph Salcedo Jr., Matthew Davis Jones, Michael
She's reading off names that she says were killed by
Nicholas
police in Idaho. So
McKenna,
these would be Idaho citizens
Jonathan
that she said were killed by the
Taylor
various police forces in Idaho.
Joshua
But I don't know the origins of any of these individuals that she's
Anthony
reading, or
Joseph
if they were individuals who were
Bosworth
unarmed or
II,
shot. We're not really sure. She didn't
Theodore
clarify in her
Arthur
comments.
Hansen, Ricardo Benitez, Logan Reese, Jimmy J. Ducan, Jeremy Sean Leach, Donald
Some people were asking. There were, she said, about 100 people, and I think that's what we had counted earlier, was somewhere in the range of 100 BLM supporters, and then between 30 and 40 counter protesters, and then there are law enforcement over there, some over there, some up there, and then some over here as well. All of them ISP, other than.
But it wasn't. And how many of these names do we actually know? How many of these
There's a
have been
police
chanted
liaison somewhere
throughout
too,
the
a
city?
Boise PD police liaison, but I haven't.
How many of them
seen where
actually
they
got
went.
justice? How many police were paid leave because they had an emotional trauma and were promoted when they got back? Ethan,
Somebody asked on the year, from what year, I don't know.
Rudolph Guy
Maybe we can-
Andrade Jr.,
Maybe I can try to get an answer.
Bryce Jake, Greg A. Reagan, Steve G., Mark Eric Beck, Cody Hanks, Ricardo Caldera Ramos, Randy J. Holler Jr., Randall Vernon Ellenwood, Mark Zamponga, Mario Armando Vasquez, David Valdez Banda, John L. Foster, Curtis Gribner, I believe, Patrick E. Green, Christy Ann Little, Daniel Lynn.
So for those that are just tuning in, she's reading a list of names that she said were people who were shot by police in the state of Idaho. We don't know. We haven't obviously verified any of these names, and we're not sure if there's a list somewhere that we can eventually find to show you guys what she is reading. We don't have an idea on what, how far back these names come from, if it's in the last 5 years or 10 years or 100 years. She didn't clarify before she started reading them. So
Kevin Ben Glan, Robert R. Lucari, Troy Wayne Epperly, Christian Nicholas Bouquet, Eric Dilworth, Bradley Wilson, Anthony Lyle Perkins, Alexander L. Madarino, James Lee, Eric Bryson Johnson, Nicholas L. Tay Williams, Jose Rodriguez Moncara, Thomas L. Watt,
we're not sure if we'll be able to stay till 7, just because of battery power. We're going to try to stay until the event's over, but we do appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to share the video, and we'd love to have you guys as supporters for Idaho Dispatch. Again, our goal is to just report on events that are happening. We are not trying to be conservative or liberal or anything in between. We're trying to do news the way that it was intended to be, which is just reporting on what is happening and kind of covering both sides of an issue and letting people speak. So that has been our goal at the Idaho Dispatch, and to leave all of our bias out of it and just report on what is happening. So if that's the kind of reporting you guys like and you're tired of the mainstream media, we'd encourage you to sign up at idahoddispatch.com/subscribe and help us continue to grow the Idaho Dispatch. Thank you.
Anthony Ray Bauer, Marco Romo, Jason Ray Caspin, Ramon Milanes, Benjamin C. Barnes, Aaron M. Thompson, Dennis W. Robinson, David Allen Hill, Craig Albert Johnson, Marshall Jack Phillip, Lawrence McKellen, Robert Cassidy Hansen, Carrie Lee Niles, Shane E. McVeigh, Patrick P.J. Joseph, Georgia Maud Carrera, Curtis Bradley Ware, Brandon, Evan C., Jacob T., John J. Lewis, Clayton W. McClasey, Robert Lyle Barden, Daniel Isaiah Nordis, Adam Champ, Senior, Rosa Maria de la Fuente, Petro Zamora, Winston Harrison, Thomas Howard, Jesse Jesus Quinton, Christopher Eugene Williams, Edward Lynn Jr., Rodney Dean, Daniel Danny T. Cook Jr., Michael Lay, Daniel Abel.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll have time to investigate all the names of the individuals that she's looking into, but we're hoping to at least be able to. And for those that can't see, it's the gal up on the steps in the blue. She's sitting down and reading.
David James.
But we're
Alexander
going to at least try to
Crane,
find out how,
Amber, Leah,
like where the list
West,
came from, if there's somewhere online that people can go and look at the
John,
list of names that she is reading off.
Duggan,
You can see the sun is
Antonio,
setting, temperature is starting to drop. It's a little chilly out
Roger,
here, but we're going to try and stay in cover as long as we
Darlene
can.
Queen, Neil Stewart, Thomas Wayne Boland, Sean Farewell, White, Macer, Jerry M. Bethel, name withheld by police, Lawson, Blanchette, and I'd like everyone to raise a fist for the last 10 names, if possible. Thank you. Russell Van Little, another name withheld by police. Arthur Farrell, Lionel Salinas, Cole Blevins, Peter Perry England, Joseph Joe Johnson, another name withheld by police. Do you see a pattern? Bruce, Troy Alton, Allen, and of course, Brianna Taylor. Alrighty. I want everyone just to take that and let it sink in. I just read 150 names of people that were killed by people that are supposed to be protecting us. If you're supposed to be protecting us, then why are you killing us?
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
You hear that?
I'm making eye contact with one guy right now. Do you hear that?
They're not listening.
They're not listening.
Oh, they're listening to my voice, of course. They haven't got enough of me since this summer.
We can keep this up all. Not going away.
That was so dope. That was fire. Just had to let that out there. But you guys all here have the opportunity to let these names be known. You know, I realized how much these events matter here in especially Idaho, since worldwide, not even nationwide, how sad, like worldwide, this is known as to be the most racist state in the U.S. and where if any white supremacist wants like a bougie house and to have fellow white supremacy, you know, you can just talk to the Liberty Dogs. They'll hook you up with the house.
They're right there. They're right there. They're right there.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir. What's going on back there?
They're just like white supremacists harass people.
Look at them protecting us.
We gotta protect ourselves. Fuck the police.
Can I get a wall out there?
Who keeps us safe?
Who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe. Who keeps us
I need a wall out there. I need a
Okay,
wall between
well.
that man talking to the police. Thank you.
I'm just going to walk down here real quick.
Yo, look how much power my voice just had. Look how much the ones that are supposed to be protecting us are gonna protect them. 'Cause that's all they've done.
Wait a minute, did I raise my voice?
We need a wall in between the police and whoever started all that stuff back there.
Fucking vigil, buddy. Get the fuck out of here, fucking Nazi scum. I'm not getting the fuck out. No. Nazi scum. I don't think
He's the same guy that attacked people at City Hall.
Yeah, you and your buddies.
Why are you trying to cause trouble?
I walked through here and asked the city. You want to punch black women? You want to punch black women? At City Hall, you and your buddies?
Get the fuck
Want to
out of
punch
here,
black
Steve.
women?
You want to be a bitch?
Yeah, that's right. We ain't fucking scared of you. None of y'all. You hear it? It's our city. We ain't going nowhere. Black lives matter. 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 Black lives matter.
Go away if you care. Bye-bye.
If it wasn't for you guys, they'd probably be
I don't have the opportunity to rebut back. Am I not allowed to defend myself when I get verbally assaulted?
Oh, your feelings matter now, huh, buddy?
No, they
You
don't.
were on the City Hall steps yelling at people while they were punching black women. Yeah, I remember you, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you shot me with pepper spray.
Fuck off. Now you're making shit up, dude. Oh, no. Well, I will, though. You step up, I'll shoot him with my pepper ball gun.
All right,
This
let's
is our
reel it
city.
back in. You gave them enough attention. They know we're here to stay.
Hey, just like we know the names of the disenfranchised, we know your names. We know where you work. You keep it up, your privilege won't even save you.
That's right.
You know why you have to wear so much gear around a bunch of innocent civilians? Because you're scared. You're afraid because your privilege is being questioned and you've lived with it your entire lives. But don't worry, slowly but surely you're becoming a minority. Don't worry about it. People have souls, not you fucking idiots. I'm sorry, I don't listen to white privileged men. I can't hear you over the cheers of the people who actually care, you morons. Take your little pow-pow guns and go home and cry in the mirror like you always do. Eating your fucking banquets.
Tíralos. For those of you guys who didn't understand that, it just means look at them. They can't even respect the dead. How are they supposed to respect the living? By the looks of it, they don't even respect themselves.
Halloween is over.
Necesitamos hacer algo. We need to do something.
Oh, there's your true colors. Yeah, there's your racism right there, you fuck.
The thing is,
See your picture, buddy?
most of these people here will go home.
Go back to Europe! This is the native land! Go back to Europe!
Most of them will just go home.
This is the native land! Go back to Europe!
Okay. Alrighty. You guys remember what we're actually here for?
Yell over that! Come on! Yell over that! Say her name! Say her name! Brianna Taylor! Say her name!
Brianna Taylor!
Say her name!
Brianna Taylor!
Say her name!
Brianna Taylor!
Say her name!
Brianna Taylor! We will get justice for you, Brianna.
We ain't afraid of no Nazi scum!
We ain't afraid of no Nazi scum!
on over there say, she's dead, get over it. I tell you what, hey, I tell you what, we'll get over it the day you get over your 5-year reign and loss, you Confederate scum. Oh, are you sad? Are you boo-boo sad because your little son and Hootie Booty's so lost? Oh my God. Oh, poor boo-boos. The truth is, Brianna Taylor's why we're here. And you idiots are literally over there arguing about the loss of a black woman, you morons! She was lost! She was taken from us! If you really are against the government like you say you are with your don't tread on me's flags, then you would be pissed that they broke into a person's home! What happened to stand your ground? You obviously don't even care about the NRA that you're so in love with! They had every right to stand their ground in their own home, especially with plainclothes morons. That's the truth. And it happens not just to BIPOC individuals. When I said 20,000 people, 20,000 no-knock warrants happen every year. Guess what? It's not all BIPOC individuals. It's enough. All right, it's enough. It is a breach of our Constitution. It is a breach of our rights as Americans. If you really loved America, you'd want to make it better. The Don't Tread on Me flag was because we were trying to get rid of tyranny. But obviously, you don't care about the tyrannical government that controls us right now. You're so busy idolizing billionaires and all the girls they can get, you don't see how bad they're fucking you. That's the truth. It's embarrassing. And then you go over there and dress up like it's fucking Halloween and act like you're so tough. I'm sorry, you're not tough. What's tough is standing here. What's tough is being bold enough. And guess what? I'm going to tell you straight up, white privilege does exist. I am a white person and I'm telling you it exists. So what do you have to say, you idiots? Period. I am a white person and I have dealt with that myself. I've seen myself get treated better than my BIPOC friends. I've seen myself get treated better than my trans friends. I've seen myself get treated better than anybody that is neurodivergent, that is differently abled. It happens all the time. It's embarrassing when my friend who's in a wheelchair can't go on the same fucking sidewalk as me. It's embarrassing when my neurodivergent friends get treated like garbage from the cops because they're scared of talking to them. It's embarrassing they're scared of talking to them. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. And I will be here every single time. I own my own business, and guess what? I make my own schedule. So you best bet my schedule will be revolving around this shit. Because I'm a white chick, and I get treated good all the damn time. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I actually don't like being treated better than my friends. Want to know why? Because I have compassion. I don't just get all happy every time that a cop fucking nods at me. I think to myself, hey, stupid, why are you nodding at me and asking my friend where he's going? What is wrong with you? The fact that they have their backs turned on the dudes with guns tells you everything that needs to fucking be said. You turn your backs on the people you trust. They're not here to protect us. They're here to ensure that these assholes can stand out here like fucking retards and act like they're so fucking tough. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm so fucking tired of it. You guys are an embarrassment. Period. I'm done with you.
Yeah, we're here.
Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Black trans lives! Black trans lives! Black trans lives! Indigenous lives! Indigenous lives! Indigenous lives! This is our place, okay? Say her name! Say her name!
Sammy. Thank you, Sammy. Ms. Hager. We appreciate you. Sunset has approached us, and given the circumstances, this is our first, big effort, really, since the year began. So, and there's so many variables involved. So thank you for your patience and flexibility in this process. And we hope to continue to show up and come out. And the more people that come, the safer it is. Who keeps us safe?
Sorry for the camera moving, guys.
Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. I-C-A-B.
Try and find out if there's somebody who knows where that list of names that she read came from.
All cops are bastard. Say her name. Brianna Taylor. 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 I want them to hear us at the train depot. Say her name. Brianna Taylor. 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 Sammy made an excellent point about officers and how they were facing this way. The same thing happened at City Hall, if y'all remember. People were getting beat, and the cops were watching and paying attention, looking at us. When, in fact, the real threat, we've already known and established that, right? So,
It's always that. But
So-
they're a white man. They don't have to worry about the cops.
Turn the fuck around!
that's right.
Turn around!
Mama Avalon said,
Turn around!
Mama Avalon said,
Turn
they don't have to worry
around!
about it because of white guys. Well, the problem, we need white men to stand up to white men. We need cisgender males to stand up to
Looks like
white,
most of the
patriarchal, heteronormative
counter
capitalism.
protesters, most of them have moved over into the Cecil Andrews Park in the middle of the park there.
We know that. We see it on the Black Lives Matter Boise page, and we see the support we get. But what's lacking is white male participation. But we do know that white males' participation in this really is the antithesis of this, right? So we need to be patient in our education, but relentless in our pursuit. And so we'll finish with a chant, and then if anyone needs escorting home or to go in a team, we have rally medics and we have de-escalation folks that are happy to walk you to your vehicles. That's right. No one should go home feeling unsafe. That's right. What was that?
The black supremacists or the white supremacists were pointing out black people to their friends to follow afterwards.
All right, Mama, wall of moms, Mama A, Mama D. Mama A's here, Mama D's there. What they've said is that they were pointing out folks to follow, BIPOC folks to follow and intimidate. And so we won't let that happen because who keeps us safe?
We keep us safe!
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 Say her name!
Brianna Taylor!
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 Thank you, everybody. And for those of you who need to leave, you're welcome to leave. We have rally medics that'll be happy to escort slowly, and then we'll have Destiny just make some announcements while you're heading out. And these announcements can be found on our website, our IG, and social media platforms. And the goal is for folks to donate to Boise Rally Medics
So I'm going to try and find out where that list of names came from. Looks like most people are going to start dispersing. We'll kind of hang around a little bit just to make sure we can cover anything that might happen after.
Touch on this a little bit more.
So let me see if we can't find either the gentleman that was speaking or the gal that read the names on where that list of names of people came from that she read. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, there was a list of names the gal in the blue read that she said were people that were killed by cops. It was 149 names from Idaho that she said Idaho law enforcement had killed, and we're trying to find out if there's a list somewhere that anybody can look at, or how far back those names go, or whatever. So that's what we're going to try and find out, hopefully before we left. So most of the counter protesters have moved to Cecil Andrews Park. The crowd is dispersing. And there's still a large law enforcement presence here.
Because mutual aid is where the real
okay, so you probably can't see. There is some of the BLM people are heading towards Cecil Andrews Park, with a few officers following the one BLM supporter that went that direction.
So donate to the Boise Rally Medics, and there's a link on our latest newsletter, a message. And all of you, it's so good to see you. I recognize a lot of faces, and so we love you guys. Okay, we need some volunteers. We need some volunteers for Wall of Moms. We need more women to join the Wall of Moms organization, or men. And what we are doing with that is the organizational structure for Wall of Moms is in development right now. So you want to get into position to join the board and ask more questions to Mama Avalon and Mama D about Wall of Moms. And so for those of you who are interested in participating, make your way to the blue table. And at every event, we hope to have opportunities for you to formally sign up. So hopefully we'll have some forms or a way for moms to sign up to join the Wall of Moms. So thank you everyone, and with that, we love you all. So keep making your way out of here and safely, and we love y'all. And we want to thank McIver Interpreter Services for being present. Accessibility is important to us, and we want to even get better at that as it stands. And there's some things that we can do on our end to help McIver Interpreter Services as well. So we accept that feedback too. So, at every event, we hope to have interpreters. So we will have interpreters as long as it's a formal gathering. So, but anyways, thank you so much for being here. And again,
once I get an answer to the other thing, we'll probably head over towards just some of the people that are over there and just kind of see what's happening.
And if you don't have a way to get to your vehicle, you can wait at the bell, and someone will. Okay, yeah, we've got walkers. If you're uncomfortable, just hang out at the bell, and we'll walk with you. Thank you.
If anybody needs a ride or walk to their vehicle, if you just come up this way, trying to get that organized. If everybody's good, be safe out there.
I'm going to head up that direction.
Yes, you're a prize.
I know.
Right? Cool. Then I can just send it to you. Cool.
Okay.
You would just hit the button, I guess.
I'm gonna wait until he's taking a picture and then I'll try.
This is crazy. How does that work?
Yeah, it's a little gimbal. You just hold it here. I still haven't figured out how to figure out the pump. Got it? I need that. I don't want to drop it. Right, let it go. It's mine. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, let me send you that. What's your? How do you want that? Okay.
I'm like. Like, what are you gonna do?
There you go. Cool.
Okay.
Cool, yeah. You too. Thank you so much.
And then I had some.
I think they scratched her card.
Sorry guys, give me 1 minute here. I'm just trying to, I wanted to ask about a list of names that were read, if that list is available somewhere. So I was just trying to stick around for that, make sure that if anything else did happen that we were here to cover what happened. But for those that are just tuning in, this was a BLM-Boise rally to remember Brianna Taylor. She was killed 1 year ago today, so they held a rally here at the Capitol.
And he goes, we have one social. I would like to ask more questions, but there's this wall. Because they tell him what to say, you know? And so I said, well, yeah, how can I lie with this information? How can it come together? If there's not out there that and just like I was telling that guy, I don't get to say what word people use, you know? And that word is making you ask questions, that's good, you know? So, you know, recently, anyways, criminal case with my friends, these kids, and I brought the detectives were scared. And he and I are like, he doesn't have anything, so whatever. But I'm thinking, I might go to the media or something. I know. Because there are some, I mean, it's like, I mean, I am.
I would love to.
My way to but I'll see you.
Good job. Tell hubby I said hi, okay?
I will.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Let me, I can't find my packet. So, I know where.
Destiny, sorry, I'll keep my distance. I just had a quick question. The list of names that you read,
A mask.
is that, I'll stay 6 feet away, that'll be all right, if that's okay. The list of names you read, is that on a website somewhere?
It's, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's on the BLM-Boise page.
Okay.
But also in police records.
Okay. I didn't know if that list was from a certain year to a certain year,
No,
or
that's like.
Well, actually, yeah, it is. It's from the year 2000.
year 2000.
Starting the year 2000.
Okay.
And there's a family in
Because
town, Shannon Jones.
Yeah, Matt Jones.
Matt Jones, his mom. If you
Okay.
look that up, that's a really sad situation.
Matt Jones?
Yeah.
You said?
Yeah,
Okay.
killed
16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Is that all
Was a mental
people that were killed by police?
In Idaho.
Okay, no specific parameters, just all people that were killed by police. Do
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
There
Okay.
was no, it wasn't, there was no
like conceptualization of like how they were killed, right? And there was no way that we didn't describe that, but these are people who have in fact been killed by them.
Okay.
So it wasn't only those who were asphyxiated or shot or bludgeoned. I mean, this is just the comprehensive list.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to listen. There was a few years ago. Do you know Jack Yantis? He was a rancher up in northern Idaho that was shot and killed. I didn't hear his name, so I didn't know if there was like a specific parameters that were on
I know
the list.
Police withheld names several times too, so he might have been a name that was withheld.
Okay.
So
okay.
There was I think 3 names on there that are withheld, and we filed public records requests to try to get those names. And
okay. Okay.
If you
All right.
want to message us that name, we'll add it to this list.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so for those that don't know, the gal in the blue had read a list of names of 149 names that they said were people that were killed by law enforcement, and they said that was from the year 2000 here in Idaho. So there was for those that don't know, there was a famous case from a few years ago, a gentleman by the name of Jack Yantis, and while we were listening, I was just trying to hear if that was one of the names that got read, and I could have missed it, but I didn't hear it, so we thought that maybe there was some parameters that were part of that list, and he said that it wasn't, so we were just curious on what the parameters might have been. So anyway, I think it looks like most people have gone. There are some law enforcement here. Some of the counter protesters are still there, but yeah, we're gonna pack it up and head out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. My hands are frozen. So again, if you guys support the work that we do here at the Idaho Dispatch, just bringing you the news, just telling you what's happening and not pushing one direction or the other, we'd appreciate your guys' support. You can go to Idaho Dispatch /subscribe, and you can subscribe either monthly, you can do a one-time donation, whatever you want to do, and we'd appreciate your guys' support. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. There was about 100 people, I think, somewhere in that range, BLM folks, and then there were about 30 to 40 counter protesters that showed up. From most of them that appeared from the Idaho Liberty Dogs, not necessarily all of them, and they are still over there in the park there. So with that, we're going to tune out our coverage and appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll try to bring you more coverage in the future. Take care.